it's 25.5 minutes basically. So does a caution and a little bit of adjustment just, I mean, when you consider the difference between 4.5 minutes, that's about 3 laps. And at 3 laps beyond 60%, that could be pretty doable because remember, it kind of works okay up to about 70% now. Like, would the wheel guys just be able to one stop it on softs and have like a lap that kind of sucks at the end? And controller guys would have to two stop it or do medium medium or medium soft. Like, and unfortunately, none of the multipliers that I've really looked at seem to. Okay, none of the multipliers that still involve using soft tires that I've looked at seem to not end up kind of near one of those points. Like if we could set it to like 1.3 times wear or something, then we could fine tune it a bit. Then like if you jump to 2 times tire wear, that's 19.1 minutes for ball and 16.8 minutes for me. 19.1 minutes, he could stretch out 9/10 of a minute to make it to the
Mm-hmm.
20 point and only have to stop twice, whereas I'd have to stop 4 times or throw a medium tire, or 3 times rather, or and throw a medium tire in. So, I mean, again, I really don't care if there's a little bit of an advantage on a wheel, but when it's going to be almost multi-class racing because people have to run a different compound, then that's not ideal. So the other way is we could just leave it at 1 times. That looks to be like Rodolana, 38 minutes for him, 33 minutes for me. Either way, that's one stop. It just opens up his window. If there was a caution, he could pit earlier than everybody else, or the wheel guys could. There would be no strategy in terms of soft to medium or anything like that. It would just be soft, soft. There would be a little bit of a question if we ran 45 minutes at that point, though, because stretching 7 more minutes on a set of tires is a pretty big ask. So you could run a medium tire and not have to stop at all, or do a soft soft, which, like, we know that a soft soft is pretty much always faster than a single hard run, but is a soft soft like more competitive with a single medium run? But then you'd probably end up in that same boat where a caution comes out late and everybody just pits for softs, and like, what's the point, you know? You give up a bunch of track position early because of that.
3 times to load the game, or it would load.
All right, we don't have to drive here. I'm just going to set it for here. We can run a couple of laps to warm up and figure out what track we want to use as a measurement thing and how long we want to run and stuff. And the thing that's weird about it is that in terms of Ross, okay, so like when I tested with Ball, his average lap time with the Corvette was pretty close to my average lap time with the Corvette, but I had better peak time by 2 or 3 tenths. His time with the Viper, like he struggled with the Viper. He was well off the, I mean, he was half a second or so off the pace with the Viper. Um, his wear at Lime Rock, again, was noticeably better, slightly more problematic there, but he was like a little off in peak pace. So if you figure that if he picked it up a little bit, then it would get a little bit closer, but I'm not sure if it was enough closer to eliminating the worries. When we tested at Road Atlanta, um, he struggled a bit. Like his setup that he changed stuff for Lime Rock apparently didn't work there well, and he was having a lot of trouble with the curbs, even though the cars take the curbs pretty well. So I was definitely way out in front of him there. But then again, from my experience, I mean, unless you're just all over the place, then tire wear doesn't really change that much from running a couple of bad laps. Like I had that at Lime Rock when I'd practice, and there was one of them, where I'd hit the curb funny in one spot and bounce off the tire wall or something and get going again. And when I got to the end of the 5 lap run, I was never more than zero point 0.1 variance up or down from what my tire wear was.
Yeah.
So, even though he was struggling for pace there, I assume his numbers fairly accurate. So yeah, we have Road Atlanta, Lime Rock, and then me and Ross ran one. Where the hell is it? Fuck, did I? Oh no, yeah, okay, here it is. Me and Ross ran one the other day at Catalunya, and we compared in single player, and then we made a lobby and ran, and his number went down for some reason, which is not something I've ever experienced. Like it's always been the same for me.
It's
Yeah,
quite
that's weird.
significant as well.
But
Went down quite a bit, didn't it?
my note here says it went from 3.2 to lap to 3.02 a lap, which is pretty significant. The thing that's weird about this though is like, I mean, not that they're exactly the same cars, but Trans Am cars that are also GT cars, merely with a lot more power and stuff, and have downforce and shit. Yeah, as you guys can see the new grid thing, how it works. It's pretty simple. One time when, I don't remember if it was me and Ross or me and Anime, we ran it at Mid-Ohio once. It just like loaded to this screen and it only had me on the list, so I couldn't move anybody.
Yeah, it was me and
There's
someone
no
else.
way to back it. Yeah. There's no way to back out of this menu. So if someone lags out right now or if someone joins, we just have to start the race and load in and go from there. But it's pretty simple, pretty easy to read, pretty easy to use. You just like point at the name of the list, push A to pick them up, kind of, and move them down where you want, and push A to drop them.
Did you
I
check
like that it's
collisions
one
on?
list rather than Forza 7's like 2 columns thing.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, the Trans Am cars, like during the race on that last tire run, Oranges, you probably remember better. I think your tires sort of started to hit the wall. I mean, maybe a third of a lap or a half a lap before Ross's did on that last run when I was catching you guys.
No, mine hit after because I was attacking him pretty hard because I knew his were dead.
Oh, maybe I disrupted me. I remember that I passed you first, and then I got to him. So, like, obviously, in a similar type of car, there wasn't much difference there. And, like, I mean, I really don't give a shit about, like, half a lap or whatever. Like, that kind of stuff's not anything you can control or expect to worry about. But, you know, when it comes to being, like, 5 minutes on a set of tires or whatever, like, that's to the point where it could pretty significantly impact things. And we had this before with the Lexus at Sebring, where in testing, it seemed fine. We ran some more testing the next day, and we're like in panic mode because it's like Ross is faster than us and can do 5 more laps than us. Then during the race, which admittedly was kind of interrupted by cautions and stuff, it didn't seem to matter. And again, Ball was during his thing was very much like, oh yeah, I could run another 6 laps. You know, kind of like he always does. So
yeah,
I
Ball
don't.
loves to claim he can run an hour on soft tires, so.
Yeah. And sometimes he's been right about tires, but he has, like with the Mustang race when we ran it at Sunset Peninsula, he was right that the tires could go that far, but it didn't matter if he could do 25 laps on a set of tires. He wasn't doing 25 laps on a tank of fuel. He had to lift and coast just a little bit to make 20. And so sometimes when he doesn't test that stuff out beforehand, he gets a little bold about his claims. But that's why I just took his numbers. I didn't really ask for his input on how many he I just did the math with it. But his numbers kind of lined up with Ross's numbers. Like Lime Rock 5 laps for me was 8.8 plus or minus 0.1. And then for Ross and Ball it was like 7.6, 7.8 kind of range. Ross gets worse tire wear in the Viper. So unfortunately, we can't really just mandate that everyone using the wheel drives the Viper, which, you know, of course, then again. And that was after you said that you fixed its setup and made it much more rotating.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird. So again, like, is this just kind of weird stuff going on, and when we get to the races, it's going to be fine, or, you know? And so one thing that's been suggested is we just do the exhibition race, and then decide from there. And we're doing the exhibition a week before the season starts. Like, we have to have a backup plan. We probably should be transparent about that too. That says, like, when we're doing the exhibition race, we're going to look at the stuff, and if we have to implement something, you know, like, sort of give people a heads up that says we might have to change something depending on how this is looking. So that way people aren't all of a sudden, oh, you guys are fucking changing the tire wear because I ran more laps than you on a set of tires in that fucking race, so I see how it is. Not allowed to win, you know, kind of shit.
I mean, if it turns out to be a problem with the exhibition, do we just change it to our races at 1 times tire wear, so it's just softs?
Yeah,
For the
the other
strat?
option could be to do 0.5 times tire wear and add a mandatory stop in. 0.5 would make them go over an hour in almost all cases. Like I said, like Lime Rock, I think was one of the ones that was right in the bubble where like controller drivers would do like 58 minutes and wheel drivers would do an hour and 4 minutes or something. But that could be another option if we wanted to keep the pit stops. And I'm personally not a fan of mandatory stops, but then if it's, you know, like, it can add a little bit of, it sort of forces fake strategy, but it does add a little bit of intrigue. Sometimes when you make an earlier pit stop than someone and you're wondering, you know, whether you're going to come out ahead of them or whatever. So, like, we could do that if we still wanted that sort of feeling during the race of, you know, is this the right move?
There is still fuel to consider, though. Like, these things only do about 40 minutes on the tank, so if you set it to 0.5 tire wear.
My numbers said 48 to 52 minutes was what, but that was also based on the in-game lap count thing. So yeah, that would be good for 45-minute races, but would still require a stop for hour races. But like, whatever our backup plan would be, like, like, it'd be good if we're gonna do that to just post and say, like, you know, this may be adjusted if required.
Yeah.
Again, like, it's different than it was in Forza 7. Like, in Forza 7, when it sucks driving in the wheel, then, like, let's see.
I'm at 8.6 going into the last corner.
9.5.
Yeah, 8.6 on the front left. 8.6 on the rear right.
9. That 9.0.
Actually, I've got 8.8 on my rear left. I was looking at my front rear left is the highest at 8.8.
So give me just a second here. Let me copy something and just get a, so I can make an estimate based on. So the hell lap times are we doing here? It's 81 roughly. 82. 82 seconds. Okay, so line at the extreme end, 4 essentially is 2.37. And you guys said 8.6 was what you had?
I had 8.8 on my rear left. But it wasn't the cleanest of sessions, to be fair.
Yeah,
I've quite
we're
I have
I'm
quite a
just
lot
gonna
of
kind of
oversteer
look and see
moments.
like what the difference. So like when I plug in, so at that wear rate, it's 34 minutes for a set of soft tires for me, and 2.15 makes 38 minutes. So about 3 laps ish. That is higher than, no, that's about on what I got for, because this is 2.37 is what my math was. My math when I ran with the ball was 2.4 a lap.
Yeah.
So that's kind of on point there. Probably a better way to test it. I mean, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be. We can turn off collisions and just run flat out and not have to worry about up for each other and stuff, but
I don't know. I feel like having collisions is a more accurate representation of how racing will actually go.
yeah. So does anybody have a track that they would recommend we do a slightly longer run at? I mean, it doesn't have to be a full race length by any means, but can probably run more than just 6 or 8 minutes and see whether it.
Hakone?
Yeah. So that was another thing too. For exhibition tracks, while it's not American, Hakone might be a good one because it's pretty high tire wear, and it shows off the draft.
Yeah. Would
Um,
highlight any weak spots in either of those.
yeah.
Get down, please. Thank you.
Thematically, I would like to do another American track for our American season, but if it serves a purpose, I really don't care.
There's always Maple Valley.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically.
Indianapolis is definitely a track that exists. Daytona is also, they do like the Roar Before the 24 at Daytona, which we've replaced Daytona as a race with Sunset Peninsula, but we could run Daytona as the exhibition as well.
Am I
That would
still in
definitely
there?
show off
I'm
the
just got a
drafting.
black screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
need
it says you're loading.
would need to extend my gear ratios.
All I got is a black screen and that's it.
All right. So what are the what's the build for this?
Which one?
The Corvette.
The C7 is drive shaft only, like reset to stock and drive shaft only.
You still have the dashboard, eh? Just black screen.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I could try to change it to a different thing again to see if that
So
like wakes
that
it
I
up.
just quit out.
Yeah, otherwise, see, we've got the track schedule other than the exhibition done. The only other thing we haven't decided is whether or not we do Le Mans. Or whether we just like save it for if we're gonna do like the C8 and the other ones a couple seasons down the road. I'm real mixed on it. I kind of don't care.
Is there any big event
Like,
happening in any of the real life tracks at the similar time?
not really.
Because I do think these cars
Um,
could run quite well at like something like Yas Marina or something.
Well, and that's sort of what the C8 and the Aston, which the Aston will now be available for everybody to win again coming up here. And the BMW there would have been like we're doing American with these and then doing the rest of the world tour with those at some point in the future. Like for Le Mans, we ran a test there the other day. Looks like fuel range is about 11.6 for the Corvette, 12.25 for the Viper. An hour-long race would be 14.88 laps. We could run up to 15. That would make for a pretty wide pit stop window. basically pit on lap 3 and make it to the end. If it goes 11, where would be lap count? That doesn't really work out great for tire wear anywhere. Like a soft set of tires runs about 10 laps. So like nothing just jumps off the paper as far as being like a good strategy option there. Which obviously our strategy thing didn't work at all with the Camaro. Anyway. And as far as fitting stuff into the schedule, I do have like the schedule mapped out a ways ahead. If we don't have Le Mans, then this season would finish on the 22nd of September. And then that would leave, what is that? That's 5 and that leaves 12 weeks until December 22nd. If we wanted to finish on like Christmas week, if we wanted to move it up to December 15th and it's 11. And that's already with the date removed for the Suzuka Crown Jewel. We do have another Crown Jewel to fit in somewhere, which like doing it as a, September 29th or something the week after this season ends could work, or we could put it in the middle somewhere if we wanted to. And that leaves us with, so like basically 11 or 12 weeks to the end of the year, which is good because that means, 3 weeks off in a 9-race season or whatever, and we won't, in theory, run into that problem that we've had in the past where it's like 14, 16 weeks to the end of the year. There's not really enough time for 2 seasons, so we put one long season, and then people get mad about how long the season is and how it's dragging out and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, where does anybody want to start mixed in the pack for this? Does everybody driving the fucking Corvette? I don't really want to drive the Viper, but...
I'm just more comfortable with the vet on the wheel while
I
I'm
j-
getting
As
warmed up.
as anime's on, oh, we can't go back now, can we? Fuck's sake. I was going to say if anime's happy to on
yeah.
on the wheel, but we can't get back now. So
Yeah.
Well, this is a
Yeah,
welcome
it gives
addition,
little...
at least.
Yeah. Also, we obviously need to test it, which I do have something that is not important at all for us to test that you guys can play with. When me and Ross were testing an anime, we both ran mini laps with the IndyCar Power Cut because Turn 10 are stupid and don't understand how push to pass works. We ran several consecutive races, changing tracks and stuff, and it never reset the power handicap down to 0.25 like it does often with the game before. So maybe they've fixed that bug as well, which would also be kind of a win for us because that means we could actually use it without having a high chance of having to restart races because it got fucked up when a setting was changed. Or not even changed, but just looked at. Sometimes if you just open the event menu to look and see if you had remembered to change something else, that would cause it to reset to 0.25. So between that, the availability of some of the FOMO cars coming back, and the manual grid, this update is kind of a win for us, even though Indy cars probably aren't something we're likely to do anything with. See, collisions are on and damage is off, but fuel and tires are on.
Bumper cars it is then.
Ooh, curve. Okay, or we don't turn.
Oh, car?
Oh,
Cannot believe I managed to dodge that. Jesus.
I didn't
Alright,
even
well,
get
my
any.
tire is probably fucked up.
I didn't even get
How'd
any
you want
collision
stuck
with
on
you.
the
You just
track?
like phased through my car.
Yeah, like on my screen, you pushed me into that like little invisible wall where the wall kicks out there, and it just immediately spawned me. Why is my car not turn?
Maybe it reset your tune and took all your downforce off the front.
I would have thought if that was the case, then Ross probably would have just blown past me on the straightaway, but instead he had to use the draft in there, because if I would have reset it, would have added downforce to the rear.
my tune definitely feels like it's on.
It doesn't help that I was literally lapping this track in the car last night that could take pretty much every single corner full throttle, so maybe I'm just getting back to the throttle way too soon. Let's have some rear arrow on oranges.
Check my tune before it was slow.
track rubbering turned on?
Nope. Hmm.
Did you make a mistake, Enemy?
We probably should have done a warm up. Probably just jumped into this.
Yeah, you were all over the road.
Yeah.
And I clearly don't have
It's weird.
race
Like-
arrow on.
Yeah. It's weird because like my car feels fine at someplace like what do you call it, Road Atlanta, that has like very violent curves. But, like the curves here seem to fuck it up worse than they do there. I don't know, you can even just like record at the end of this when you do 12 laps and then run it again. Probably there's more data for it. I mean, we're at least matching Ross's pace, or catching a little bit. Like 3/10 in the last 2 laps. So, not doing too bad. Despite the fact that I feel like I'm either like one lap I'm sideways and missing it, or like it just does not fucking turn there. And the next lap I'm too conservative, so I went too wide last time.
Are we stopping at the beginning of lap 12 or the end of lap 12?
End of lap 12.
Okay.
I don't know if we want Paul to join. He sent me a message earlier saying that if we're gonna do some tire running and we need numbers, he'd be able to join. He has nothing to do tonight.
If he's offering, I think we should take him up on it.
I mean, another data point's another data point.
Yeah, but it's probably best he doesn't practice.
Let him keep being a few tenths slower than Morbid. Garbage lag.
That was lucky.
What the fuck, car?
I touched the curb the same way I did every other lap, and that time it was like, no, you're not going on it.
Alright, give me just a second to make a thing here for this. What lap times are we doing? So probably an average of like 115 flat would be like an estimate we'd probably use for something. So that's what, 75 seconds.
Have you guys got no rear aero at all?
Nope.
Yeah.
Very low. I think I set to the same number as the front, but it's like
Okay, so Ross, what's your highest tire wear?
27.9 on the front left.
So it's 9. Okay, oranges.
29.6 front left.
Anime.
31-3.
Jesus.
Oh. Okay. Kiwi.
33.5.
Really far. What did you get, Morbid?
Prime left.
31.2. DJ.
29.8, but I also had one lap less and realized I was on mediums to start.
Oh, okay. So 29.8 you said? By 11 is 2.70. Okay, so that means Ross got the best at 2.32 a lap, and Kiwi got the worst at 2.79 a lap.
And the soon
So if we...
understeer's like fuck, so.
Yeah. Whoops. I really need to fucking change this. 2.32. So that would mean that Ross could do 32 minutes, 32.3 minutes on a set of softs at this wear rate. 1.5 would be 21.5 minutes. Because I was kind of thinking 1.5 might be an interesting tire wear number. Because that would make for, well, the hope was that it would make for medium soft runs for 45-minute races, but I think this wheel guys would just make it soft. So that's, what did I say, 32.3 minutes, or 21, and then at the highest, that would be 26.8 minutes. I said softs.
Could be a Viper thing too. I'm in the Viper.
Yeah, the Viper
Yeah,
does
so
wear a little
for
bit more for
me-
me.
And see, for me, they don't. I get basically the same, like within 0.1, at all the places we previously tested with them.
I did run into a car that was stopped in the track for some fucking reason.
Well, yeah, because I got spun out and bounced off the wall. It's a pretty wide track. There's plenty of room there.
Lap times are fairly even though. Well, we got the fastest with 0.5. I didn't feel like there was a lot more in it for me personally. I was pretty much
I
doing
don't
that
know if
almost
mine
every lap
came
as
with
well.
drafting oranges anyway. Alright, so we can rerun that and hopefully be a little more in the groove now. And I can just write it down and I do run 1. And like my Viper understeers a little bit, but I feel like when I get a good run with it, then I kind of rotate it early in the corner and drive it straighter off. So I think that helps with my front wear a little bit.
Well, with the Viper, before I made those changes, it was really even wear over the 4 tires, but then after my changes to make it less understeery, it just wears more on the fronts for some reason.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
Oh, my
I
rear
fucking
arrow is all the
hate
way.
this stuff. What's that, oranges?
My rear arrow is all the way down. Kind of weird.
Yeah, because like your straight line speed wasn't bad. It just didn't seem like you gained on me when you were behind me.
No, like it did the thing where it like pulls the camera back, and I just felt like I didn't gain anything on you.
Which
What's
we
the
didn't
build
have
on?
the. What,
Sorry.
Boo?
What's
ahead.
the build on this thing?
The Corvette is just drive shaft only.
Not that I'm probably going to do a full season because I usually don't like GT cars, but you know.
Yeah.
Learn to like them.
They are a lot better in this game than they were in 7.
I'll be back over there in a moment.
Okay. What was I starting to say? Oh, Ball says he's on his way.
So wait for him then, eh?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Let it go pee.
See, it's weird because when we first floated this idea and tested it, like Bob and Grundle and Raj and some people were in the lobby, and they all felt like, and Anime was, you were there too, like, you guys all felt that the Viper was nicer to drive. Of course, obviously those were like very, like, you guys just threw them together and probably didn't really do much to them. But it's interesting that
It's
now it
weird.
leans heavily Corvette.
It's weird because on controller I prefer the Viper, but on the wheel the Corvette just feels like I can get more out of it.
I don't know. After the changes I made to the settings, I I really like the Viper, to be honest. But when I'm getting much better tire wear out the Corvette, it just makes the obvious choice, right? Gives me more options in race.
Fuck it. I'll try the Viper for this one just to see. This track's at least pretty straightforward, so I shouldn't have many issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could try, I suppose. There's no. Be interesting to see the difference between the two if we.
Alright, 1 second. Let me also add. Oh shit, that's probably gonna fuck it up. Add. Corvette. Alright. 2.
Unless you'd prefer me to run the Corvette for science purposes to keep it consistent.
I mean, you had a pretty clear run where you were running hard the whole time, so I mean, I assume
Yeah.
it's a pretty. And you said you got sideways on a curb or whatever, but it didn't cost you a bunch, so. And that's probably
Uh,
pretty accurate for what happened at some point during the race.
Yeah,
So,
it cost me. I think it was 8/10 of a second on that one lap, but
yeah. Paul is not currently online yet, though, either. And Boo's already.
I think I must have like over turn 3. I think it was. I must have just like grounded out on the bottom of the car. So it just like lifted the rear of the car up.
Alright, well, since Paul isn't even online yet, unless my friends list just isn't updating, we can just go.
I'll double
Yeah,
check.
it says he's not.
Yeah, he's not on for me either. So
Yeah, so.
fuck him.
He can join in on the next one or do a couple of test drive laps or whatever.
Sure.
Alright, DJ running up.
I want this.
What's up, Boo?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry, I was sticking around with my microphone.
that's okay. I just want to make sure you weren't like in the middle of changing tires or something like that when I started it.
Oh, we got grid adjust back.
Yep.
Finally.
Pretty simple. I'll put you
Yeah,
at the back
just
since you haven't even turned a lap yet. Okay. Vipers up front makes sense because that was the original question with the draft anyway. I see also some of the FOMO cars are coming back in different forms, and it seems like they maybe fixed the power handicap glitch thing resetting all the time. So yeah, while it's not the most flashy update with a new track or anything for us to use, it is a good update for us, like functionality wise. Assuming they follow the same thing from their playtest, the first car that you'll be able to earn as a FOMO one the easy way when you missed out was the Nissan GT500 car, which we're already doing GT, so we probably won't be likely to use it, but it is a fucking cool car, and it's like a really easy thing to earn. You just have to win any race at Suzuka in a Nissan. I'm pretty sure it means you can just do a lap against 0 opponents and win the car.
Well, I haven't died yet, but that's with traction control on, so.
Yeah, use traction control, fuck it. These things had traction control.
Sorry, Ross.
You're good.
Fucking curb.
How
So
close was that to the
British or Australian dude, or New Zealand dude, I don't know which, don't really care, was going after me on Reddit the other day. Because I said that NASCAR and Formula One, you know, people communicate their passes. They do. Because, you know, they were bitching that I was sitting on this guy's bumper for a lap and a half and I couldn't get by him, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, yeah, and Formula One and NASCAR do that. Don't! Fuck you! The fuck you were on about?
And you're posting on Reddit, so.
All the Reddit moderators are busy at the moment riding, aren't they?
I understand that, but how stupid can you be? Do you not know that the spotters in NASCAR go over to other spotters and pop?
Hi, oranges.
I did not mean to do that there. I just broke without paying attention to where you guys were raking.
Oh, that was a weird bit of lag. Oh god.
That was a lot of bit of lag. What the fuck?
Murder was the case.
Woohoo! I'm not last! For now. Did you guys read my post in the POG thread, by the way?
Yes, but remind me. Oh, the jump thing getting you disqualified. Yeah, we probably need to. I mean, that kind of got grouped in with the thing. We told people not to celebrate and like flip across the line and stuff because it fucks things up. Or it did fuck things up in the past. But yeah, we probably need to put an underline on that.
Because I get it. It's penalty, and you're still gonna end up behind me. But still, fuck you. Because if
Yeah, it's not the
someone
place
gets
for it. Again, like if you want to laugh at the jump, just go do it in single player or whatever, you know.
if you take somebody out, someone's gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
True.
Well, we had a problem with that in the past. Remember, with people flipping across the line when the AI were solid after the race is over, and then their AI would then pull their solid car back out onto the racing line in front of people who were still finishing the race and fuck people up. So I kind of group it into that. I mean, I don't think it says specifically just for flipping across the line, but if I remember right, it said no celebrations and rage quit and etc. things to be done during the races. Or qualifying sessions, for that matter. Well, I guess you can just run some laps and test drive, and we can do the math for it at the end here. We're just starting lap 5 on our run.
Do 7 laps.
Why don't we have them do 6? That's exactly half, and then the math is easier.
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, I can just type in the calculator. It's fine.
Looks like I'm gonna have to use the tuning calculator this season.
We've got Watkins Glen full on the schedule for you, Boo.
Yes, I know. I
And-
heard.
And Mid-Ohio.
Just let us know your summer schedule so we can schedule them on those dates when you're not going to be around.
I'm only missing one Monday.
Okay, we're going to run both of those back to back on that day. It's a doubleheader.
You're just so sweet, Paul. I wonder why people don't like you.
That's not a mystery. No, it seems like you've missed like the last several Glen and Mid-Ohio races.
No, I was there last race at the Glen.
I had Mid-Ohio and BRZ and the multi-class season.
I made Mid-Ohio for the multi-class because I was in the faster car. I didn't make it for the Glen because I was attempting to be in the faster car.
What cars were those? I don't even remember.
That was the Ligier and the Alpine.
Yeah.
The Liger.
I remember the Liger.
Fucking coconuts.
The Liger.
And Squirrel, the night that he heard it, just like immediately, like not even waited and was like, what did you call it or anything? Just straight away. Ligier.
I mean, that was a missed opportunity to make a Zoid's paint job. Called the Liger Zero.
Yeah, Liger was
Yeah.
more of a acceptable one. Less likely to get you accidentally banned on TikTok for.
That or whatchamacallit, Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
I hated that movie. It is
There were
awful.
like 3 funny parts in it, and I always thought it was really overrated.
Yes.
The part where his uncle or whoever that guy is like throwing the footballs for the video camera or something, and he
Uncle
just like
Rico, yeah.
smacks the camera with the ball. Like, I remember that was pretty funny.
Yes, I suck at this. I'm only
How many times have
11
you
seconds.
spun?
None.
But that's
Oh,
with
yeah,
traction
okay, then.
control on.
Yeah. If they use it, fuck it. Real cars
Yeah.
did, so. These things didn't have
I-
ABS, but they're traction control.
I don't have ABS on. I just
Yeah.
suck. Did you guys watch the Netflix video about the NASCAR car at Le Mans yet?
Nope.
It's actually a pretty interesting watch.
A pack of those would be fun to watch there.
I thought it was funny that this weekend, of all weekends on the NASCAR circuit, they were in Mexico.
And Kiwi's favorite driver won.
Fuck that guy.
I have no idea who anyone on the NASCAR circuit is.
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Shane Van Gisguzzler.
I like
Oh, just
Kiwi's
because
version
he
better.
drives the Chef doesn't mean you have to hate him.
No.
That was, I
hate
think,
him
the
for
largest
all the
margin of
times he
victory in
spun
any
someone.
of the next gen races.
Was there a road course or an oval?
It was a
course.
road
That-
course. They were at
yeah, it's at
Autodrome
the
of
Autodrome.
Rodriguez.
Yeah,
What was the lap
that's
time?
not much of a surprise then.
130 something, because it's a shorter circuit.
Oh, they don't run the F1 circuit.
No.
Oh.
They run the stadium.
What, are they just running the
Yeah.
infield of the stadium?
Yep,
Just in circles?
pretty much.
I was really hoping I wanted to hear like, oh yeah, it's like a 2 minute and 60-second lap, or a 2 minute and 50-second lap. And it's like, I wondered if the F1 car could do it almost twice as fast.
I don't know, I was pretty happy for Roman to win, so. It's been through a lot, man.
Just stop catching me. I don't like this.
Why don't you all slow down? That sounds like a game plan to me.
Still trying to work out what the fuck
I don't want to have to
Lando
throw it in
thought he was
reverse,
doing.
though.
Lando made the most predictable Lando move I've ever seen.
He was like, how can I bottle this more than I already have?
Lance Stroll.
I mean, Lando
Fucking-
has no racecraft at all. The kid is
Oh,
fast.
McLaren
Just bullied.
failure. If you listen to the
Well,
way
yeah.
McLaren talk to him, they're like, remember your braking points, remember your lines. This is
Yeah, they're
fucking
not doing any of that shit
Formula
for
One, mate.
Oscar.
This is
Oscar's
fucking Formula One.
just-
You're supposed to be the pinnacle, you know? Remember your lines.
I mean, they all get coaching and stuff to a degree, but usually not over the radio while they're driving.
It's like Princess Lando, eh?
Yeah, just not really.
I
mean,
would
I
like
just-
to see Piastri secure the driver's title this year.
I think he proved that he's already got it.
Yeah. Piastri has proved throughout this season that he's the only one that might be able to stand up to Max's, like, constant hounding. Max is probably really reeling that stupidity
son
in
of a
Spain
whore.
right now. Oh, God damn it! If I wasn't such a dick,
Fucking RB here.
I'd still have more points. And I'd probably be level with Lando now.
Fucking George pulling the brakes on under the safety car to try and get Max
Yeah,
to
that
kill
was
the
funny. I thought that was funny. I just like
Can't
how
say I blame him.
everyone keeps playing like all these like, George is like the saint to most of the Sky pundits, and they were like, "Oh, well, George and Max are next to you." I'm like, Max didn't run into George because he was mad at George. Max just ran into the closest thing to him because he was pissed off. So, like, it has nothing to do with George. And then, but yeah, they keep talking about like all this stuff, and it's like George Russell, the man who just decided to blatantly cheat at Monaco, which was also hilarious, and then played this game here with the brake check.
Well, I wanted to see if we can get him another penalty point on his license.
Yeah, that's what he
I
was
mean-
trying to do.
Yeah, why wouldn't you try? I would respect him if he didn't. He's looking at it like, I can probably take Max in this championship unless his car is strong. So try to get him, because if he can get him on that penalty and then get Max a penalty point, then he would get him basically 3 races in a row. I'm actually surprised though. The pace of the McLaren this weekend was interesting.
All right, so
Yeah,
Ross, what kind of
so-
tire wear have you got?
29.7.
Were you running any faster?
Nope.
Oh wait, you switched cars, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay, oranges. Jesus fucking Christ.
29.5.
I didn't realize you were stopping. My bad.
Suppose we didn't actually say it out loud this session.
Well, I thought all the cars stopped at the end of the track would give it away.
I wasn't paying attention.
Doesn't look that
I
far
was
ahead.
trying to
Okay,
talk.
anime, what do you got?
31-4.
Oops. Kiwi?
32.5.
I'm trying to figure out how to get to it with my steering wheel here. Sorry. So I'm gonna drive for a second. Hopefully.
And TJ?
32.6.
Okay. Ball, you want to stop on your next lap and you can give me what you've got
I'm not
for
with
tire
you
wear
guys.
Well, I figured you
guys-
were doing test drive or whatever while we were
Oh
doing
no,
this.
I thought that was
Oh, okay.
breaks. No one told me to do anything. I also didn't realize that you guys were going to be driving for 15 minutes when I got in here, and it kind of like.
I thought I said when you joined, you can just do test drive or whatever and then we talked about whether you could do 6 laps before we were done.
I only heard something about laps. That was the first bit I heard.
Okay, so for me, I got better tire wear that time, obviously, because I didn't spin off of a wall into another wall and then get spun into another wall after I got rear-ended. I'm guessing that's probably some of what contributed to mine. Ross, you got 0.15 worse tire wear per lap in the Viper. Anime, yours was 0.01 worse in the Viper compared to the Corvette, so like no difference for you essentially.
I did get crashed into. That might account for it.
Okay. Fire Orange has got the same tire wear both times. Kiwi got better tire wear in the second run by 0.09, so almost a tenth. DJ got
Probably more
0.1
skill.
or 0.01 worse tire wear per lap. So I mean, pretty close. This time, like for me in oranges got 2.46. I got 2.49. Ross and the Vibe got 2.47. It's like that's all within close enough. So I don't know. Like the fact that that's the Viper though, and you usually get worse tire wear in the Viper. I mean, I don't know that now that we've run a number of laps, we're pretty in tune here. Like, it seemed like I was faster than you in the Viper that time. Like, I pulled or way
Yeah.
more. So I don't know if you want to run again, and you can run the Viper, or sorry, the Corvette again,
Sure.
and see how. And yeah, like, so.
There we go. All right, hang on. I get my
The
tire
worst.
wear right now.
Okay.
So I got 20.1 on the front, 19.2 on
What?
the front right, and
What
then
tire are
rears
you on?
mediums.
Oh,
Fuck
well,
off.
Why?
okay.
All right, never mind.
Great data set.
I was like, Jesus Christ, boo, you're really soft on your tires. You're not going fast enough.
How many times did you pit?
I mean, like, technically, I could put it in the calculator and, like, do the math for it, but let's just.
Sorry, I fucked up. Okay.
This isn't the first time this has happened. I'm pretty sure with you too, boo.
I just come in and race. Okay.
It's fine. Yeah, I know, boo, and it's fine. Like, we've
Do you
got
do that in
bunch of
our
different-
races? Is that
Sometimes, yes. When I have no chance, yes. Oh wait, that's every week.
Don't make your chances worse then by going to
yeah?
a weird
Why would
strategy.
you
I don't.
actively make it more difficult? Like, if you go
So
into
that I
work
can actually
tomorrow
give
and you know it's going to be a shit day, do you set something on fire to just like really
Yeah,
get
and
it
like hit
going?
your hand with a hammer when you wake up in the morning, so that way it hurts all day. Like, well, it's
Just
gonna
sit-
suck anyway. Like,
Sit in a canteen with some sizzler hot
Sometimes,
dogs
yes.
instead.
Like today, my pinky finger got jammed on 60 pounds of frozen beef box.
hot dog.
No,
Oh,
That'd be a big old dog.
did it swell up so it looked like a hot dog?
no, it did not.
Oh.
Did they call them dog fingies?
All right, so I'll run this again here and see where we're.
Oh, bull. My theory on the McLaren's lack of pace this week is because they're on the softer tyres. And the softer tyres are more of a surface temperature tyre. And the McLaren is really
core.
good at keeping the core. So once
Right.
they get to the softer things, then the McLaren just can't look after the tyres as well.
I was also curious because of that TDM that came out for next season. I haven't read it to see if there's anything in it, but about the phase change materials. I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder if they were like, ooh, maybe we should pull those. But they didn't seem like they had any braking problems.
Well, Craig Scarborough's pretty onto it with those fucking
All right.
phase
Yeah.
changing stuff.
Well, fairness, when the fuel
fucking
burnt
tech,
off,
though.
they were quick though, and just
Yeah.
the temperature was perfect for the Mercedes. That's what the biggest thing was.
Yeah, I think the Red Bull was
Yeah.
faster, but it just couldn't keep its tires under it.
I don't think the Red Bull was
think
faster. I
Leclerc
think
would have been
Max
in the lap
driving the
session.
car was faster.
Well, that's true. From what we have to deduct based off of where Yuki finishes and where Max finishes, the Red Bull is slower than the Williams and the Racing Bull and maybe the Aston
And the
Martin.
Sauber.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
Yeah,
Nico
that's true.
Hulkenberg.
Yuki got flat out passed by a Sauber.
And
And
RB
a
had a
Haas.
shocker too. Like Liam started with a 50 place grid penalty for a new ECU, and then a new engine, and then he had to retire because the engine was getting too hot. Right. He got a 50 place grid penalty.
Yeah, the Mercedes engine problems are interesting.
Outside, Kiwi. Never mind.
There we go. I actually got some draft that time. That's cool.
Sorry.
Watch this update. They broke the draft.
No, I think it's just because you and I are probably like collision broken or whatever because of the first race, you know.
But I got the draft off of you.
Yeah,
From
but
now on.
like, I basically phased through you in the first race, and I
Oh, that's
couldn't
right. You did
draft
say
you at
that.
all.
yeah.
Watch out for a rabbit DJ. He's coming on the track randomly. Outside, Kiwi.
Oh, they're all-
Ow.
What are you hitting me for? Turn
What
down.
was fucking?
I
Whoa, that
didn't
was
hit
weird.
you.
I swear the curves here are worse than the ones at Road Atlanta for this car. I was like,
It was like when I came around behind you, it's like I lost grip as I went behind you to do that section.
Hey DJ, there's a corner there.
And just ran a little too late.
DJ doing DJ things.
Look at the scoreboard, Boo.
Whoa, fuck.
Doesn't mean you're not doing DJ things.
We're
Well
not
said.
even at Fujimi.
Finishing better than you, like always.
Didn't even put on the first lap or anything.
To be fair, they used to do that in IMSA back in the day in Grand Am. When you had to pit within 45 minutes.
whoa.
So focused on me, you forgot about him, huh?
No, it was, you jumped like I was kind of laughing at you going all the way over there, like you're trying to not give you the side draft. Then you like juked back out, and it's like I can't move over much, like Russ is there.
Uh-oh. Fucking curb. Yeah, gonna be honest, I was not expecting the white paint to pull me to the right as much as it did, so I was kind of like
Yeah,
cranking
that's-
it back to the left.
Oh no.
it.
Does he get on do things?
No, I got too much curb.
Yes, DJ, let the hate flow through you. Push me. There's a wall there. In case anybody didn't know.
You need a wall crossing sign?
They just jump out at you. No
I had a
concern for
friend-
their own safety at all.
I had a friend that, or have a friend that has a sign had a sign like that on his property. Apparently he whacked a wall one time.
And have you really raced if you haven't hit a wall at some point?
No.
Except for it was his driveway, so it really wasn't racing.
How nice is the driveway? Is it paved and
Yes,
got corners in it?
yes.
Yeah, so you're probably racing.
I was gonna say, I delivered to some hoity-toity rich people who had a fancy long driveway once. And it was fun leaving that house.
Mm-hmm. How much fuel have you been putting in, Ross?
40%.
How much we got? Like, how many laps do you have left?
It says 6.
Okay, we got 5 left, so we're not too far off. I don't remember what I had in number was.
Mine says 4.
Locked him up, damn it.
All right.
Good battle, DJ.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
Ooh, we're
Defi-
stopped.
definitely burnt up a little bit. Burnt a little bit more battling, that's for sure.
Yeah, same here.
My tire wear was pretty close
All
to
right, so
even.
Ross, what'd you get?
28.5.
Okay. Oranges?
29.2.
Me, anime?
30.6.
And you stayed in the Viper?
Yes.
What's next? Kiwi?
33.2.
DJ?
32.7.
Ball?
28.
And Boo, assuming you're on soft this time.
Yes, I'm assuming you want the highest wear. 30.9.
Yeah, whatever tire is the 30.9. Okay. Okay, so on that run, Ball and Ross had the best tire wear, 2.3 something, 2.33 for Ball, 2.37 for Ross. Kiwi had the worst tire wear at 2.76. So let's see what the 2.33. So 1 times wear, that's 32 minutes versus 2.2. 27.5 minutes for Kiwi. So this is kind of the, like obviously 1 times wear with 1 stop would mean that, I mean, this is a slightly higher tire wear track than normal too, so keeping that in mind. This is kind of the problem we're running into. So like if you use Kiwi's number, at 1, that's 27.5 minutes on a soft. 1.5 is 18.3. 2 is 13.7. So, you know, like 1 isn't 30 minutes. 1.5 isn't 20 minutes. 2 isn't 15 minutes. So, and again, like at other tracks it would be at those numbers. And we can't account for every track, so there's no need to like overanalyze. Like some of them are just going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But like if you look at like what our things were from Road Atlanta, like me and Ball's test there, on controller he could get 33.7 minutes. Ball would have got 38 minutes. Like both of us would be over half an hour. And like, you know, that track, it would kind of work to just run 1 times tire wear and you can just stop around the halfway point for tires.
Unless you may.
But, yeah, we don't have your number for Road Atlanta, but yeah.
And I was really slow at
DJ's
Road
on
Atlanta.
DJ's on I wasn't sure. I thought you were slow because of mistakes, not because of actual lap
I
time.
just,
Like,
yeah,
I
a
thought you
little
kept
bit of
hitting the
both.
curbs and getting crossed up.
Yeah. And
Like, yeah,
I reset the tuning for this, so I was running a stock tune.
Oh.
I changed the aero balance, and that was it.
It's like, yeah, you and Kiwi and DJ are both in the like 2.7 range. I'm 2.5. Fire is down. Actually had the best run on your last one there at 2.4 something. So, yeah. I don't know what to do with this. Like,
what are you trying to figure out?
we're trying to
exactly?
figure out, I mean, what we do for.
The problem is the
You
tire wear's
don't
too
necessarily have
heavy
to use a
on the
tire wear
controller.
multiplier. Yeah, and so what I don't want is a situation where wheel drivers easily do soft and control drivers have to do medium soft. Or alternatively up the tire wear rate. Then I don't want it so that wheel drivers just run soft, and controller driver has to, like, you know, and I mean at that point it might as well be a multi-class race, I think, given how significant the difference is. And of course, you know, like cautions and stuff can always come in and mess that up. Like trying to find a number, and like I don't care if 1 or 2 races, you know, like Lime Rock being a weird anomaly track with high tire wear, like we can't control it for all of them. I'm not worried about that. I just don't want it to be one of those things where we get 3 races into the season and you basically just get a podium if you're on a wheel and are fast. Like, so trying to find a number where it is
Trying to find a race distance number that makes it even.
Yeah, so like if we were, for example, to set it so that like a soft is 25 minutes, then you would either have to save 5 minutes worth of tire per stint, or run a medium for one of the two stints. Which I think that'd be fun if you had a medium and a soft stint basically, and you had to choose whether you wanted to, get one over
Well,
with
what if
early
you just
or
make it
whatever.
shorter so that basically it's 1.6 and a half, like 1.65 stint distance of the worst tire wear. So theoretically, the soft would still be the best. Potentially, the wheel users could get by with no stops on a medium, but would be slower.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that, so when we originally talked about this, we were either going to do 45-minute or 60-minute races, kind of like mix the schedule up. And the hope was that one of those two formats would be zero tire choice, just like when you make your pit stop, and one would be soft, medium, soft, like combos. We didn't want to have like the Camaro level of like 4 pit stops with all the different complication, just something kind of simple to make a strategy choice on. The problem
Well,
is,
that's what I'm
like
saying.
looking at a lot of these numbers, is that in order to get it so that the soft, or so that the controller driver can make a soft last long enough to be of any use, that makes it so that the wheel drivers can almost make a soft replace a medium at that point.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're running into the problem. Like if we could just delete the medium tire from the game, then it'd be easy to set something up, and you'd still have an advantage for the wheel drivers a bit because they'd be able to get off of the hard tire faster or use it less. But it wouldn't be like you could just skip using it altogether. But unfortunately, we don't have that option. So yeah, trying to figure out where the numbers make sense.
These
we
cars don't
know-
have ballast, do they?
No.
Do we know where the whatchamacallit is? Do they have labels on what tires people are on?
Nope.
No.
The only way we could see that would be if we did like the game qualifying thing that puts us on the grid. And even then, you can just flick the... Like, I've thought about that before. You'd have to assign everyone on the grid to watch someone else's car and report if they changed off of the tire they're supposed to be on at the start of the race. And you can always, like, wait for the countdown thing to get to 2 seconds and quickly change it and ready up. And at that point, there'd be nothing you could do about it. Just quit the race and restart.
You're
And you
taking
could
away
still...
any strategy because everyone's going to start on the same time.
Yeah, and also depending on what our sort of thing was, if it's like, watch the car next to you, well, what happens if teammates are side by side in the grid? Then somebody, I mean, even if they police it, if one of them's just fast in the middle stint of the race or whatever, or the second part of, something, it creates that, no, he didn't take the fucking medium, he started on the soft and he went to a soft again. And there's no proof other than everyone taking a clip of what tire they finish on. And some people don't know how to take clips. Some people won't take clips. I mean, there's no way for us to realistically do it. It's like if we use this track as an example here, like at 1.5 times tire wear, like Kiwi get 18 minutes out of a soft and 27 minutes out of a medium. That's enough to make almost 45 minutes exactly. But then if we plug in ball at 2.33, that would be 21.4 minutes and 32 minutes. At 21.4 minutes, ball's just going to run soft and never even touch the medium tire and just nurse it for a lap or whatever. So, like, that's kind of
For a
off the
caution.
table. Yeah. And again, I don't mind if that happens at 1 or 2 because we can't account for it everywhere. But I don't want it to just be this obvious thing where basically all season long you're kind of second class just because you're on a different input device.
So this is.
What if you force people to start on the medium, like you said with that grid thing?
But we don't have a way to police that fully.
Yeah, like I say, and
I mean,
the
it'll
thing that
be
we've
obvious
And then
minute.
when the
and
race
then
Well,
starts.
it also
yeah.
eliminates some
Well, it would be obvious
strategy too.
if you and me or Ross or whatever, who are always kind of qualifying that as a little group, suddenly one of us just breaks away. But what happens when we get to Watkins Glen, for example, where Thunder has always been faster than he normally is there? And then you have Raj getting passed by Thunder, and he's going, "What the fuck? He must have been on a fucking soft tire. There's no way he would have fucking. I finished ahead of him the
I
last
mean,
4 fucking races."
Raj is gonna say that no matter who
Yeah,
passes
but
him.
like, this is the thing is we have that all the time with people having a conspiracy about this being against them or whatever, and this rule is being broken, and they have no proof of it and no,
Yeah, because
so
let me put it this way: the tire wear we just did, I wasn't trying to save any tires, and I have not set this car up to reduce its scrubbing, like how much scrubbing I was getting, and I was getting a lot.
yeah.
I could probably shave another percentage off that
Yeah,
with
I
some
was
time
And
and effort.
I'm probably much the same. I mean, me and Morbid were battling quite heavily in places on that, and probably scrubbing a hell of a lot more than what we should have been.
yeah, yeah, mine was a little bit higher than it had been on that run, but not by much. And like I could have backed, like if I needed to save tire, I definitely could have been more gentle, especially through turn one. That was probably the spot that I had the most tire scrub. And like I could adjust to make it to the end of the race if I needed to. But as far as like continue on at that pace with less tire scrub from something, I don't know if it'd be doable. The other option would be to instead go the other way, cut the tire wear in half,
Yeah, I think that's the
um,
best option
and just
personally.
add a mandatory stop during the race. And like I personally don't like mandatory stops. I usually find like people go like, "Oh, it adds strategy," but I usually find that it's just something that people just dispose of as soon as possible, and you know,
So, but like, so what I was saying was, so for instance, say the worst tire wear we had could do 25 minutes on a tire, on
yeah,
a soft tire. And then you just times that by like 1.6 or something. So that the race ends up being, 44 minutes, something off. It'd be an odd number, right? But
yeah,
it would mean it would mean that the worst tire, the controller users would be able to at, do a one stop, and it would be a pretty wide window in that race that they could do that stop in. You just make it a mandatory stop for everybody,
right,
and maybe it'll be everyone just goes. Well, see, that's I don't like the mandatory stop because
yeah,
here's my idea. My idea is that I could do it with no stop on a hard, or maybe even the controller drivers could do it no stop on a hard.
Yeah, but we'll probably be able to do it two
Or
oh,
you
stops
well,
can
on a
no,
go
soft.
so yeah, so we were
right.
looking about that too. That was something that was brought up. We would have to test it, obviously, which we haven't done yet. Would be to leave it at 1 times tire wear. That way, the worst controller driver wear on the worst, like highest wear tracks would be just under 30 minutes. So like if you look at Lime Rock for me on the controller, I'd only be able to get 28 minutes at Lime Rock. Here, Kiwis wear meant to only get 27 minutes on a set of tires here. And then do 45-minute races. And your option would be to, so we know that in almost every single situation, soft is always faster than a single hard run. Again, there might be
Yeah,
some weird combination where that's not the case, but is a soft run faster than a no stop medium run?
no,
Because
probably
that would
not.
open up, if we leave it at 1 times tire wear, that would open it up to be a medium no stop for 45 minutes or soft for 45 minutes.
Right,
So
which
like it
is
wouldn't really be an option too much for Kiwi on this one. Like at this track, he'd get 40.7 minutes out of a set of mediums. But
so
if
you'd have to do a
we
soft,
bring that
medium,
down
or
to 2.3, well, no, for that you'd just be able to do soft. So you get 27 minutes on a set of softs. So
Right.
for Kiwi, it would just be the clear, soft one-stop strategy. But for people with different wear, so like for you, Ball, you usually get 32 minutes out of a soft. There's no way you're stretching 32 minutes to 45 minutes.
Not on
But
the
you'd be able to
soft.
get 48 minutes out of a medium. So you could no stop at medium. Let's put in my tire wear that was kind of in between at 2.5. That gives me exactly 30 minutes on a set of tires, or a set of softs, and exactly 45 minutes on a set of mediums.
So you could probably hit
So-
minor wear some point on the last
Yeah.
lap.
And obviously that works good with 45-minute races, which like I personally don't really care. Like we can do 45-minute races, it's fine with me. Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah,
Like
like-
old SimR stuff was like, no, that's what we do. We do an hour, goddammit. And I fucked all that up kind of when I made a staff member and started proposing.
Also, all the old people that used to give a shit about that haven't played the game in 5
Yeah.
years. So they can
That's what I mean.
fuck
So, like
off.
for me personally, like I don't care if we just do a whole season of 45-minute races. Our original
fine with
plan
40-minute
was
races.
to try
Like-
to do 2 different formats where one had no strategy and one had a simple strategy. And I'm like looking at this, I'm not really sure if I see a way for that to work. So,
God, I wish we just had fuel usage.
what the ability to shut off the medium tires? Like that would, it would still make it a little bit artificial, you know, because sometimes you get a race where the driver just basically puts on the hard tire for 5 laps and then pits straight away or something. But still, like that'd be pitting early when you're behind everybody. You'd have to go through traffic. It'd still be interesting
Alright.
that way. Like,
I suppose you tested what the drag tires feel like in these cars.
I don't think that's a good idea. I'm thinking we're gonna have enough cautions and stuff on normal tires. We probably should look at doing some wacky shit with them.
We could do my favorite format of 45-minute races followed by a 15-minute sprint.
A dash for cash or a dash for crash, probably this one.
I mean, I usually like the sprint races. I think most people actually like the double sprints more than one long race. Yeah.
I mean, I do like having the variety, especially when we can work it into something where
Well, I do too.
you know
If
has
we're
something
over a season, I'd
interesting
rather
for a
have.
strategy thing. And so here's part of the thing that's thrown me off on all this though is like we did the Lexus at Sebring test. We tested it one night with me and Oranges and Ross. Everything seemed pretty fine. We tested it the next night, and Ross was like running right with us or slightly faster than us, but had significantly better tire wear. And we went, what the fuck? And then we kind of just went, oh well, it's a one-off, like whatever, I guess. And then the race didn't really matter. We ran Road America just a couple weeks ago in, granted, faster than these, but GT cars with slicks and downforce, rear-wheel drive, all that stuff. And Ross's tire wear wasn't any better than me or Orange's tire wear. We've run the Camaro season as it was. There were a few times where there was like a little bit of variance, but nothing in that was just like, well, we're fucked, we're not controller this time. You know, like we've had so many times where it hasn't been far enough apart to be a concern that when it suddenly looks kind of weird like this, then it's, yeah, kind of a head scratcher. And we have this kind of thing lately where everybody complains about everything that happens and everything. Every time there's a car that's a tenth of a second out of balance or whatever, people are going to let us hear about it and all this stuff. And so I don't really want to get to the season and you say get 2 races. You know, the first race you figure, oh well, it's the track, whatever, and get 3 races in and have it be like, all right, well, all of the controller drivers have been running mediums this time, and like, how do we fix this mid-season?
Do you think this is unique to these cars? We've not seen. I mean, I think we saw it in the Camaro, right? With the Camaro.
Camaro we did.
Well, that's just a little bit.
Yeah,
But
Lexus a little
it
bit.
turned out to be nothing.
But then again, we ran the Lexus again at Bathurst, and granted, again, cautions kind of mixed up the data a little bit on that, but nothing during that race was concerning. Nothing during the NASCAR race was particularly concerning. And some of it, I think, is we've definitely had races where people went, overestimated what their. Oh yeah, I could have just done 5 more laps or whatever, and we don't really know that because a caution interrupted it or whatever.
Right.
And like in practice, we haven't really noticed to be much of a problem. I think the problem with these cars more specifically is just like for the amount of grip that they have and stuff. It's not the way that they wear their tires in terms of like balance wise or anything. It's just more that their tires happen to last kind of right on a number that makes it hard for us to do math without, if we could make it like 1.2 times wear or something like that, we could find a middle ground where it would work, I think, but we don't have that option. So the only option to get a smaller window like that would be to go up to ridiculous like 5 times, 7 times tire wear and stuff, which would then shift the race tires to the mediums and the hards. But then that always
I
leaves us
think that
open to
sounds like
that
fun because
goofy.
if there's a caution, then you have people on softs for a couple laps.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
soft
something.
dashes at the end.
Yeah, and so the problem that we've had with that in the past is that it's felt instead of like letting the race play out to this interesting ending where we're all on a different strategy, then it's just like, oh, never mind, fuck that strategy, I guess. We're just sprinting home to the end again. And it's actually kind of been anticlimactic. If it's, like we've had some fun ones, the Kyalami touring car, where most people stayed out, but a few people pit for the softs, that was interesting. Alternatively, like the Mustang, for example, when there were like two different strategies playing out to the early part of that race, and they just reverted to a soft thing, like that was just disappointing. So yeah, and you can't have one or the other all the time, but we could look at doing something like that because the way the math works for it, that does make for. So let's just say here at my wear, because it's kind of halfway in between you guys. We would run like 5 times tire wear, for example. Uh, that
You
doesn't
guys
seem
aren't waiting
right.
on me, are you? Don't wait
No,
on me.
no, we're just sitting here chatting. Let's see. So if we look at 4 times tire wear, that'd be 15 minutes on a set of hard tires. So for these 3 stops for an hour, or 11.25 minutes for a set of medium tires. So it would be 3 stops on hards or 4 stops on mediums.
That's
You
a
could
lot of stuff.
maybe. Yeah, and exactly like that. I feel like when it gets up to that many stops, you're like starting to mess with like the rhythm of the race, kind of like it just feels
So,
like constant confusion and chaos with who's pit and who
What about
hasn't.
Do a
And
4-stop soft step.
I mean, I guess for most people, yeah, like it doesn't bother me, and I don't think I like. Yes, it makes it difficult to know what's going on until the very end,
yeah,
but and also I think there's a lot of guys that aren't gonna have they're not gonna want to sit there and think about all that shit. They're just
yeah,
gonna go. I'm just
exactly.
gonna run mediums every time because I don't want to
Like we
do.
saw with the
I mean,
Camaro, basically.
we already had this conversation. I don't
Yeah,
remember who I was talking to. I was like doing the math and showing them how to do the math on figuring out their stint length, and it was basically met with, well, it doesn't matter because I'm slow, so I'm not going to do that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
Bob.
oh, well, okay. um,
Yeah, and so
uh,
like if we looked at 3 times tire wear, that'd be 15 minutes for a set of mediums, 20 for a set of hards. But that's my medium tire wear, my mid-range tire wear. Controller drivers would be back into sub 15 minutes, which means they couldn't make it on 3 stops. And wheel drivers would be able to comfortably do it on 3. So,
so what we're
The
saying
other
is
option
that
is
we're
to have no
gonna.
tire wear, 0.5, and then just run the softs.
yeah. Yeah, so I think the two options would be to either run the 1.5 times tire wear for 45-minute races, then you'd be either medium no stop or um
we stop soft?
stop.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, for 1 times tire wear, not 1.25. Yeah, so you'd either be soft or medium no stop,
I quite
or it
liked
would
that.
be to cut it to half tire wear, and then we can go back to doing some 45, some hours, but we'd have to decide whether or not we wanted to. So the fuel tanks in these cars, from my math, tends to be around 48 to 52 minutes. So you'd have to stop for fuel anyway. At some tracks, let's see, Lime Rock, I said 57. 51.3, so I must be remembering wrong. It's 52 to 57. Road Atlanta was like 51 minutes. So basically, you can't make it without stopping on fuel in most cases. There would
Right.
be some, but that's the problem. So Lime Rock, if you can get 57 minutes out of the Corvette, the Viper gets slightly better fuel mileage.
Yeah, but
And
there's a
then we'd be
100% chance of caution at line.
yeah, that's true. And if we were looking at half tire wear, that would be 56 minutes on a set of softs for me on a controller, which would mean an hour would be
Okay.
doable on softs with some
And I
fuel
could
save
fuel
or some
save.
caution.
Right.
You can save fuel at
And
that track as
again,
well.
we
Though,
can't
so-
we can't overly yeah. We can't overly worry about that at every combo for the tracks or whatever. But I just like we would have to be prepared for that if we did 0.5 wear and then 0 mandatory stops. That there might be some combinations where the wheel just no stops it and doesn't have to worry about it.
I say what we do is drive
So if we
a
do
100 horsepower sports car
Janetta,
on street
Yeah.
tires again.
we've got
With the open top and bug eyes.
I personally
Yeah,
think
it might
see, we got
have a grill in the middle, and
2.76.
I think a front-wheel
God damn it.
drive 212 horsepower Honda Civic would be a much better idea. But
2.76. So if we were to run, all right, yeah. So here's kind of the problem with doing the no stop 0.5. At Kiwi's Tire Wear here at Hakone, it'd be 54 minutes on a set of tires. So, I mean, 6 minutes of saving is pretty significant when you think we're doing minute 15-second laps. So that's another
Some
5
of my-
laps you got to do, basically.
so we
Some
better
of
run
my
a
tire wear could be my setup too, because I'm pretty sure it's pretty much stuck.
Yeah.
I
But
didn't
then when
fuck
you
with
look
it.
at my tire wear, I mean, that's exactly an hour on a set of softs. So 64 minutes for Paul's tire wear. So that's kind of the thing is that it might still not make for no stop for everybody. So that's when we just add
Just m-
in a mandatory stop.
or just
Yeah.
make
It
it a
would
50-minute
still
lap.
serve as an
Oh.
advantage. Yeah, we could do like a 55-minute race or something instead too, I guess.
Well, you could. We always do an outlap. So there's a couple
Yeah.
of minutes, bro.
Yeah.
When we get sorted.
But the thing is like, would it be more fun
what's
to
the
do? What's the point?
The fuel though is looking at like what 50 minutes you said. So like if nobody
That's me.
52 to 55 is what I've got.
You could
Yes.
possibly save enough to get there.
Yeah,
if
with
you
some
had the
caution
right-
and some stuff. And again, like the Viper gets better fuel mileage than the Corvette. I mean, it's not by a huge amount, but so I mean, the only I don't have data for the other one. We've looked at it. We weren't concerned about it because our plan, remember, was to do the tire wear, so it wasn't an issue anyway. So we haven't really got a bunch of results for it. Me and Ross ran at Le Mans the other day to test them out.
They're really close there, though, weren't they?
His Viper mileage was 12.25 laps, and my range would have been 11.68 laps. So when you consider that's about a half a lap worth of fuel, at Le Mans it's around 2 minutes worth of fuel. So around here, that's like almost 2 laps difference between the cars, which if we're setting races right on that number, 2 laps is pretty significant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being a mandatory in there.
But at Road
And like, I personally don't like mandatory stops, but if it's a compromise, then I mean,
25-minute sprints. Got it.
yeah. So the one thing that we have not tested at all, again, so our original plan was to try to find a wear multiplier that meant that softs would go about 25 and mediums would go 37-ish. But that's just not where it's coming out to. So we haven't tested to see whether a double soft stint is competitive at all with the medium no stop stint or not.
Pick the
Wanna do
tracks
that
with
right
the
now?
longest pit stalls.
Well, again, that's something that because of the pit lane differences, it's going to be a little bit different each week.
Yeah, but like certain tracks, like you could just make sure you pick tracks that have long, like the Glen has a long pit lane.
Yeah, well, we already have the schedule picked out for this. I think I sent it to you already too when we talked about testing.
I think you had just prospects, and it was basically just every track in the game.
All the
American
American
one.
tracks except for Daytona, Indianapolis,
Homestead.
yeah, and Homestead because we just did it.
I feel like it's a mistake to not run Corvette at Daytona.
Maple Valley.
Well, we're replacing Daytona with Sunset Peninsula because it's better.
It's the better Daytona.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Not
the
going
only
to
track we
Maple Valley,
haven't
are we?
picked was the exhibition race, which I was saying we could do at Daytona because it's kind of like the roar before the 24 thing. We also talked about using Hakone here because it's kind of high tire wear and it's kind of high drafting, so we get to the
I
difference. But I feel like we've just done this
not.
now. Like we've kind of seen this.
And I would not add a heavy draft circuit in these cars. Every time we've run draft here, it's been madness.
It's a good thing about
I was on a fun race with Ross in that one, and it sounded like
Yeah, you have it our fun race with Ross. Now let's add in 11 other people.
I do think these cars are not going to stay as bunched up as previous, like the BRZ and the Janetta and stuff
Well,
were
of
here.
course not.
So, like, I wouldn't be quite as worried about it. But the idea, so the reason why we didn't run these originally during we did the multi-class season instead of these cars was at the last minute we found that the Corvette drafted better than the Viper. And that was why we kind of abandoned it. And so with the change that we made power-wise to them and retesting them and stuff, having a draft-heavy track would be good to see. But I feel like we ran that here tonight, and I mean, I didn't see any problem with the way that they drafted.
I didn't
And
really
we
drive against
are
any of the
retesting.
Vipers, so I don't know.
Right. And again, like we did retest it on our own too. Like me and Orange just fiddled around with it when we first tried making the change and found it was satisfactory. And me and Ross ran it a bit too. So we don't necessarily need that to be the thing. And we could do Daytona, so that way it's Murica thing and roar before the 24, etc. But
Yeah, I like the idea of Daytona.
so I don't know. Does anybody have any strong feelings whether we do 0.5 and a mandatory stop or do like the sprint 45 thing?
I like setting the race time to
No reason
make
we
it so
couldn't
that
do both.
towards the controller end, and it's just up to everyone else to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm the wrong person to ask because it affects me the least.
Yeah.
I think
I'd
it
be
should- we
okay
could-
doing the 45 with the soft versus medium if we put some testing into it.
Right. Well, and the other
Um,
side of that is that if the medium's not viable like that, then it's just a soft for everybody. So, like worst case scenario, it just goes back to having one simple strategy with a little bit of variance in the middle of the race where some people would be able to pit a little bit earlier to get onto the softer tire.
Right, but
which,
if we're gonna do
know,
that, I'd rather just do the hour-long races.
The thing is, though,
right, and have
if we did that at Daytona, could the mediums stay with the soft because of
do
the
an hour
draft?
What if you did an hour-long race and you could
See-
only pit once?
Yeah. So if you get damaged and you can't pit again, then you're fucked.
Well,
Damage,
I guess, is a different. Yeah, I don't know how you work that. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
You
if
can
you
put
get
the fix the
damaged, you're
damage,
fucked,
but
you're
not
out.
change the tires.
Yeah, but we
Um,
can't police that shit. That's something we found. So
That's what you'd have to do, though.
that's
to make that
part of the
work.
reason why we originally got rid of our mandatory stop stuff. Was there was a fucking race at Prague, of course, of all the shithole tracks to go to,
Thanks, TJ.
where one of the IR guys got accused of not using not taking an actual mandatory stop because instead he used up getting involved in an incident as his mandatory stop, which at the time was a rule that you couldn't do that. Like if you run into somebody and spin them into the wall and you have
Yeah,
to pit
I
with
remember
them.
it doesn't count as your mandatory.
Yeah, and it was so hard. Like when you'd go to a track like Long Beach or Prague or anything that had a lot of cautions, it got so hard to tell who had taken which one under what thing and whether they were pitting to get rid of their stop or pitting because of damage. And you could just
So
lie and go, oh no, I
here's
don't have damage. I'm just taking like, so that was why we got rid of it.
one way you
And
could get rid of that is you just make it so that when the caution comes out, if there's a caution, basically we slow down, we go yellow for basically a lap, and then we just go green wherever that fucking car is.
right,
So if you take fresh tires, okay, fine. You're still 60 seconds behind the field. Don't crash.
yeah.
I don't know.
And there's no pit stop count on the result screen in this game. We can only see it
Really?
live during the thing. Yeah, we can see it in the top left corner during the race. Like it'll show it to you the other guys.
And
But I think we have to turn on the mandatory stop
Yeah.
in order to have it show up.
And the results, yeah.
Yeah. So we could turn on the mandatory stop, but then yeah, and going over your mandatory, I don't know.
Yeah, if you stop twice, you get a penalty.
And we've still got, I mean,
Like F1 refueling days.
yeah. We still have 4 weeks until the season starts, 3 until the exhibition. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think we need to figure this out right this moment, but I do think we need to get a direction. And if we want to try the 45 and the thing, then, tomorrow or some other day of the week, me and Ross or me and Oranges or somebody can run just like a practice run kind of and judge the distance and stuff and iron that in. If there's something that someone definitely does not want to do, or alternatively someone really does think that sounds like the best option, then now's the time so we can sort of either not waste our time testing something dumb that no one wants to do, or alternatively know what should be high priority to test first.
Should we just test Daytona now and just get tire data from that, just to see potentially what we could do with
while we're just sitting here, sure, I can change it to that. But
and get Kiwis
Um,
between Kiwis and minor balls tire wear just to see where we would be too on that track.
yeah. I mean, I do like the 45 with an option. And again, like I wouldn't think that the option would be viable every week just because of different. I mean, not even counting the fact that cautions will probably mess up the medium strategy a lot of times anyway. But I do kind of like that being the choice that at some tracks might actually work out to be better, but you're gambling on cautions coming out. Because the other thing you have to keep in mind too is that if you start on a medium tire and a caution comes out before anyone can pit for a soft, that actually helps you then get closer to the soft tires instead of falling as far behind them. So, depending on when the caution comes out, could still benefit you okay. And again, like at some tracks it probably wouldn't be viable, but at some it would, and that'd be interesting. And I'm perfectly fine with 45-minute race formats. See, I kind of like I'm willing to do the mandatory stop. Like I'm not saying I think we shouldn't. I don't particularly like mandatory stop.
What if under yellow flags we banned people from entering the pit other than the damaged vehicle?
So the problem we've
done
had
that
in the
before.
past with doing that is that if you go in for damage, you also take tires, and then people argue that, oh, they just cause a caution on the right lap or whatever. We're not allowed to pit, and they all get fresh tires and can make it to the end.
Yeah, and then they're bunched up to the field.
Yeah.
Just ban cautions then.
Which, like, if we were to turn off tire wear, I know I wish I could not have cautions anymore too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it causes a high percentage of rage quits. And my feelings always do change on it slightly. Like, I don't feel that bad when Cole brings out his fourth caution from hitting a wall somewhere. What I do feel bad about is when somebody's lapping Cole and he T-bones them and slams them into a wall and totals their car. And then we just have to tell them, well, get fucked. Like, like that does lead to people quitting. And that's not really the goal. I mean, like, while nobody really likes to drive around under caution, it usually doesn't cause people to rage quit, whereas not getting a caution when something like that happens, especially if it's bullshit, does.
Or you just tell those kind of people that they can go play Mario Kart. I hear it's great.
Ball says as if he is not one of the ones that's been like, so we're not having a caution for this? I might as well just fucking quit. Like,
Oh, well, if it benefits me.
Anime, you running?
Oh,
No,
you want me
most
to
of the
turn it
time when
off?
I crash, I don't get damage. I need to learn to stop trying to avoid hitting the wall and just keep my foot in it.
Minimize damage.
I could have
do we
saved
want-
Orange and Mine's race if I had just hit the wall at the Glen.
How much does it slope
guess
down
so
on
the
this?
front so you can laugh at me.
I just didn't want to change and fiddle with all this stuff this time. I should. I don't know. Like, my preference would be to just do the 45 minutes with the option, knowing that the option might not be an option. At which point, it's just the same for everybody.
I
So
think
it's
that
fine,
leaves
kinda.
the most variable for everyone.
Yeah.
The most interesting.
I almost had Ross as a hood ornament.
Oh yeah, and just to point it out for you guys while I'm
Sorry.
thinking about it here as I'm looking at the grid, you can only have the adjust grid option turned on if you have PI set by, the grid set by either PI or lap time. You can't manually adjust a random grid. It'll just lock the option for you. So if you're ever trying to turn it on, you're like, oh, it's grayed out. That's why.
Well, that's how it was in the last game.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's just a lot of my settings are saved with random grid anyway, because.
Sorry, Bull.
Jesus.
You rag?
Some fucking controller switchers.
Oh, I hate that shit when I'm near you. You fucking twitching bastards.
Twitching on the wheel.
goddamn draft, go away!
Yeah, the side draft really ruins it.
There's a turn there somewhere.
That's my turn.
I find the braking line on the Viper tends to be really, really conservative.
I don't know why I didn't just turn into orange. Because this whole time I've been thinking, like, I need to hit him to see if we have the collision bug. Because I keep forgetting to check that. Like, we haven't experienced that in quite a while now, and they didn't ever mention fixing it. But knowing turn 10, there's also a chance they just got it too embarrassing. I'm like, yeah, let's just not acknowledge that that was a thing and get rid of it. I haven't seen it reported anywhere else as happening. It seemed like Sam was always the one that got it with us when we practiced something. And he had like all versions of it too. There was the one where his car was just invincible and we could like no brake him and just bounce off of him, which was pretty funny.
He also has the most connection issues.
With the party, yeah. He usually doesn't have too many lobby issues, but He
Okay.
did for a little while because his internet company was changing something, and like every night at midnight it would start disconnecting when they were working on something. I think that's been over
Change
for
my
a
arrow.
month or two now.
I'll tell you back up there anyway.
Hey, fucker.
I fucking hate Daytona. I've always been bad at it, and the fact that it's so simple has always made me feel like I shouldn't be bad at it, which made it more frustrating. I've always been kind of bad at Laguna Seca too, but I mean it's a kind of tricky track.
Oh my god, car, just fucking hook up.
Because any of these fucking hairpin into hairpin tracks are like Motegi, fuck that place. Everybody wants it back for Forza, fuck off. Like the worst Japanese track that there is.
See, my draft is not working.
No, I was going to say, I'm pulling away from you.
Yeah, you're pulling away from me.
You said you forgot to change your arrow though. What's your arrow?
Well, I mean, I don't have any rear arrow. I just have a front arrow.
I don't have any
But, like-
front arrow, but I have rear arrow.
Could also be my
When
gearing,
we
though.
stop on lap 6. Yeah, when we stop on lap 6, let's crash into each other. And not like, don't no brake, but I just mean like, let's bump and see if there's interaction.
With how much you're losing it can't be just no arrow, it must be something else as well.
Well, I didn't go through the what's it called? Very well.
Bus stop.
Yeah.
The Le Mans chicane.
Apparently they have a Daytona chicane in Le Mans now.
How cute.
Yeah.
This track is definitely better in this game though. Like when we did our Trans Am race here, it was actually pretty fun. Like I think the fact that the draft actually works now, it does make a more interesting race than it was in Forza 7. I just found this was kind of like Le Mans in Forza 7. Like sometimes you'd have like an interesting thing where you just hook up and like draft together to pull away from people as a strategy. But in terms of actually like battling and stuff, it doesn't really happen. It just space out. Usually someone would make a mistake at the bus stop and then lose the draft, and then everybody just drove around 2 seconds apart from each other. That was awful.
Do you not use the green light at the top for your braking reference? Because you broke way after it.
Yeah, I do sometimes, but not as much when I'm like rambling about shit. I miss the Daytona thing being painted on the wall. That was usually a good thing to use, like which letter you brake at.
We're for the team.
I don't know, what does anybody think about using this or Orange as You Rock Indianapolis as a exhibition track? I feel like we kind of learned what we needed to from Laconia from our own little group testing here, so we don't have to run it.
I'm fine with whatever.
between the two, I'd probably lean more Indianapolis because it'll feel, I guess, a little less samey than going back to back between this and Sunset.
Yeah. I mean, they are, like, this is pretty different from what Sunset is. But as far as being high banked more and stuff, yeah, whereas Indy's flatter.
You could run a exhibition enduro on this track, like before the season.
Yeah, well, that's what I said. Like, this would be the exhibition before the season.
Well, no. I mean, not as the enduro, or not as the exhibition. A prior.
Oh, yeah, I suppose we could, but all right,
And
just
kind of
here.
set it so that it goes through the 24 hours, kind of.
Yeah, like a mini 24.
Yeah.
Okay, so what lap times were we doing there?
I got
146.3.
149.
46.9 on mine.
So let's call it 47 flat for rounding's sake. It's
47.3.
107. 107. Okay, so Ross, what's your tire wear?
13.8 on the rear right.
That ball, that's yours.
13.2.
All right, Kiwi.
My front right and my rear right are both 15.5.
Okay, 3.1. As in the white. All right. So, Ross, why were we specifically testing this one? Just to compare it to the others?
Well, to compare how big the difference was between Kiwi and Ball.
Okay, so 3.1%. God damn it. Okay, 3.1% is Kiwi's wear. At 1 times wear, that makes 34 minutes on a set of softs, 51 on a set of mediums. So that's, I mean, we know this is kind of a low-ish wear track. I mean, not as low as it seems, but so basically comfortably over 30 minutes.
Would be idle for 2 soft stops.
2.64. That'd be 40 minutes on a set of softs for Ball. So this one, could Ball make a set of softs last another 5 minutes without losing too much time?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. And then
Hey,
you
that's
also
only.
Oh yeah, we were gonna hit a few people. You guys got it.
That's only what, 3 laps here? It
Uh,
definitely won't be at 70%.
I went right through Ball.
But I'm at 14.
You guys hit each other again.
It ghosted.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't draft you, Ross.
Yeah, so okay.
Hold on, let me start moving.
Ah, it's because he was
Yep.
moving.
That
That fixed it.
I hit Boo.
it didn't. You're not hitting me.
What?
14.
Yeah, on my screen, you're slamming into Ball, but then all of a sudden, eventually, you just like teleport through them. Like you guys bounce around and it looks funny. And
Nothing
just
is
go
happening
through.
to me when you. Nothing's happening to anybody.
Oh
Oh,
god.
Ball's
One
got
is-
the fucking invincible car one.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought they fixed that.
Oh, I can hit
Uh,
him. Or did I
more-
hit you, or did you handbrake me?
Fuck!
Oh God!
Where did you go?
Morbid,
What?
I got
Like,
14,
I saw Ball and
What's
Ross
that, Boo?
hit head on. They
14
both stopped,
on
and then
my
Ball
tire
teleported.
wear.
14-1, okay.
I was at like 14.8, I think.
So Boo was pretty low.
Yeah, I definitely have collision with Ross. I don't think I have actual collision with Ball.
I don't have
Doesn't seem
collision
like
with
I do-
anybody.
It doesn't seem like I do anything to anyone.
I have
I
collision
guess
with
some of
walls.
it is the wobble on the fucking thinking too.
The anime's tire wear was pretty close to what mine was, and I'm on controller, so...
Is this
Yeah,
because
I tend to be pretty
we've had so
bad
many
on wears
lobbies?
as far as the real guys go.
Yeah, that's usually what causes it, is running the same lobbies over and over. And changing like a setting and going to a different one and stuff. I mean, it doesn't always seem to do it, but that's usually what causes it.
Oh, well, turn 10.
Yep. See, I kind of thought we were over this because we didn't have it happen during the Porsche season, and that we were aware of. And we had all of those races, like we just ran them in the same lobby right after each other. Yeah, supposedly the solution to it, people claim, is doing the qualifying thing. We didn't want to do that because that shows everybody what tire everybody's using. Was why we haven't really wanted to try to do that for the Camaro, or didn't want to, well, the Porsche only had softs anyway, so it didn't matter then. But
Oh, who's got the glitch too, I think.
yep.
So what happens if Boo and Ball both collide?
I wish. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, goes right through me.
I wish there was a way that we could turn this glitch on specifically for one person at our choice. And you could like start last in the grid, but get the glitch turned on and fly your way through.
Just no brake turn 1 for maximum chaos.
There's clips of people doing that in the V8 Supercars hopper when it was in there at Bathurst. And so he just like goes through turn 1, just like a snow plow, like flipping cars out of the way and stuff like that. And people accuse him of using hacks and stuff.
I went pretty morbid then as well. Yeah.
Not mine, you hit me.
Yeah, but I'm going through.
Alright,
Oh, now I hit you.
so, it sounds like people kind of like the idea of just doing the 45-minute thing.
Yeah, it seems like the one that has the most actual options, and there's a high chance of people not testing which strategy is best for which track, so you could get some mix-ups that way.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, okay, Ball could probably make a set of softs last 5 minutes longer here. Or, yeah, 5 minutes longer here. But there would also be a little bit of nursing there. And again, there's a pretty high chance for a pocket. So that would kind of, you know, cycle things back up and make it more likely that towards the end of the race, when they're starting to hurt a little bit, he's got somebody closer to his tail to possibly capitalize on it.
I'm going to bed.
Alright, Boo. Later.
Yep.
The thing is, I know it's impossible, and I don't really have that much interest in trying to like police for every possible scenario, but being prepared for what the potential scenarios are, so that way when somebody starts to yell about it, it's like, look, this is the way it's going to work sometimes. Like, you know, figure it out. Stuff is good, I think.
The
Being prepared
entire
for it.
schedule is posted ahead of time. People can
Yeah.
study and practice their strategy as much as they want, or as little as they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
Look,
Anime has so many opportunities to mess up those math.
Thankfully, I'm not in a random lower class car for this season and being like, Ray, I don't actually have to do 45 laps.
I'm actually curious. Is that
I still think we should
that
do
would
a little bit of testing
also,
on the 45s, but
yeah, like I say, we'll maybe not do like a full 45-minute test. We'll maybe do like a 22-minute test or something and see like at what point the soft car is ahead when it has to take its pit stop, something like that. We can throw around with it during the week. But if that sounds like what we're going to try to do, then we know that's what we need to test. And, again, we can't test every fucking track on the thing. We don't have that much time. I'd just run a hypothetical one of maybe 2 of the tracks, like something like Lime Rock that's got high wear and short pit lane, and I mean Road Atlanta is kind of mid-wear, has a pretty long pit lane, so maybe those 2 are ones that we could run it. What did I start to say about something that somebody just? Oh, one thing too that has changed in a couple updates ago. Timed races now do show splits during the race, which that was one of the main reasons. Not that there was that much opposition. That was one of the things that was kind of against time races in the past. Was people found that it made it really hard to find a rhythm during the race because there was no reference as to whether or not you were picking up lap time or whether this line worked better or the track was getting faster or etc. Unless you were using cockpit view in a car that had the time in the dash. They have changed that. So what we could do is something maybe Torah-esque where we do a 45-minute race set to 45 minutes of time and we set the race distance to 50 minutes or whatever. So at 45, when it ticks, the checkered flag comes out. The next time across the line, we stop, write down our order, and move on. So the problem with the race is still just ending in the middle of a corner still exists. And that's the other reason why we didn't do it, because then people could just dive in at the last second and technically have their nose ahead when it hits 0 and not have any consequences when they miss the corner out the backside because they went 10 miles an hour too fast. So that could be something if we think would be interesting at some point. I don't know if it needs to be done for this. For this, it just seems like it would make most sense to just do the math for 43 to 45 minutes, kind of in that range, so we can round down at some of the bigger tracks to, some of the tracks that, like Road America's kind of big. It's over 2 minutes, just over. Sebring's just over usually. That way we can, go with 44 minutes at those instead of 46, if it's going to be kind of touch and go for some people on the controller.
Yeah.
All right, then we can. If that's the direction we can go. We'll do a little bit more testing during the week here and try a run or 2 out or something somewhere.
Sounds good to me.
So that we can do like a half run or something like that and just see what the gap is when a likely pit stop would come to see whether it's big or not.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Right.
Later.
I gotta go to bed as well.
Yep.
Have a good one, guys. Catch you tomorrow.
Yep. Catch you later.
Catch you around.
yeah.
All right. Let's see. We got. I guess we'll just go with what I've got ready for the one-off race. I mean, me and Ross have already tested it.
Still
think
the
it's
Opel
good.
and the Volkswagen.
Yep.
Yeah.